Are the New York Giants actually a good team? It's a fair question at this point. Through 7 weeks of the season, the Giants sit at 2-5. Not the record of a good team, but the story is a lot more complicated than that, because this Giants team has shown flashes of something better. Games where they look like a legitimate playoff threat, and others where they look like they're still stuck in rebuild mode. One week they beat contenders, the next they implode. The story of this season really changed the moment Jaxson Dart stepped in as starting quarterback. Before him, this team looked lifeless. Russell Wilson began the year as the veteran, bridge QB, but after an 0-3 start and a sputtering offense, head coach Brian Daboll decided to hand the keys to the rookie out of Ole Miss. It was a bold move. Dart wasn't just getting snaps anymore. He was officially named the starter in Week 4 against the Chargers, and that's where everything flipped. Facing an undefeated Los Angeles team, Dart immediately gave the Giants something they hadn't had all year: energy. On his very first drive, the rookie led the team straight down the field and ran in a 15-yard touchdown, sending MetLife into a frenzy. Later, he added his first career passing touchdown to tight end Theo Johnson and showed off the kind of poise and athleticism that had New York fans buzzing. He didn't put up crazy numbers, a modest 111 passing yards and 54 rushing, but he made plays when it mattered. The Giants pulled off the upset 21-18, their first win of the season, and just like that, there was life in New York again. That win felt like a turning point. You could see the confidence building in the locker room, but then reality hit. The next week against the Saints was supposed to be another step forward. Instead, it was a disaster. New York raced out to a quick double-digit lead in New Orleans and then completely fell apart. 5 straight turnovers. Yes, 5. The Saints, who were 0-4 and winless coming in, walked away with their first victory of the year, 26-14. The turnovers were brutal. A strip sack, a fumble from rookie running back Skattebo at the Saints' 12-yard line that turned into an 86-yard defensive touchdown, and 2 late interceptions from Dart that sealed the loss. It was the kind of meltdown that defines a young team. Flashes of promise followed by self-inflicted wounds. Dart finished with 202 yards and 2 touchdowns, but those turnovers told the story. The Giants hosted the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday Night Football, the defending Super Bowl champions, one of the league's best teams, and a division rival that had dominated New York for years. Nobody gave the Giants a chance, but from the opening kickoff, they punched Philly in the mouth. Skattebo had the game of his life. 3 rushing touchdowns and nearly 100 yards on the ground. He was bulldozing defenders, dragging tacklers, running angry. Jaxson Dart didn't need to do much through the air, but when he did, he made it count. 17 of 25 passing for 195 yards and a beautiful 35-yard touchdown to Wan'Dale Robinson. He also added a 20-yard rushing score on a quarterback draw. No turnovers, smart decisions, and complete control of the offense. The Giants stunned the football world, beating the Eagles 34-17, their first win over Philly in nearly 4 years. That win showed what this team could be when everything clicks. The rookies led the way, the offense was balanced, and the defense finally looked dominant. Brian Burns terrorized Jalen, Hurts all night with 2 sacks, Dexter Lawrence clogged the middle, and cornerback Cordale Flott sealed the game with a 68-yard interception return. For the first time in a long time, the Giants looked like a complete football team. At that point, fans started to wonder, maybe this is the turning point. Maybe Jaxson Dart and Skattebo are the duo that could bring this franchise back to relevance. But just as quickly as hope arrived, it got ripped away. The following week in Denver might go down as one of the most heartbreaking losses in Giants history. For 3 quarters, they were perfect. They led the Broncos 19-0 at halftime and 26-8. Early in the 4th, Dart had already thrown 2 touchdowns, including a 44-yard bomb to Daniel Bellinger, and the defense was smothering Bo Nix and the Broncos offense. Then came the 4th quarter. What happened next didn't even feel real. Denver scored 33 points in the 4th quarter. Yes, 33. It was the largest 4th quarter collapse in modern NFL history. No team had ever been shut out for the first 3 quarters and then scored 33 in the 4th to win. Until that night, the Giants defense defense, especially the secondary, completely imploded. The pass rush disappeared, communication broke down, and Bo Nix caught fire. He threw 2 touchdowns, ran for 2 more, and carved up the Giants like a veteran, even when Dart heroically led a late touchdown drive, sneaking it in from the 1-yard line. With 37 seconds left to put New York back on top, a missed extra point kept it a 2-point game. That mistake would cost them. The Broncos got the ball back, and within 2 plays, they were in field goal range thanks to 2 busted coverages downfield. 129-yard pass to Marvin, Mims, 122-yard strike to Cortland Sutton, and the Giants were cooked. Denver hit the game-winning field goal as time expired, completing a comeback no one could believe. That game told you everything you need to know about this Giants team. Talented enough to build a 19-point lead on the road, inexperienced enough to blow it. The collapse was mostly on the defense, and more specifically the secondary. Outside of the defensive line, this unit has been a major problem. The front 4 is legit. Brian Burns has been worth every bit of that trade. Dexter Lawrence is still an anchor inside, and Kayvon Thibodeau has come into his own as a consistent pass rushing threat. But behind them, it's chaos. Injuries have only made things worse. During that 4th quarter in Denver, starting safety Jevon Holland and corner Paulson Adebo both went down, and the replacements were completely lost. Coverage busts, missed tackles, and miscommunication let the Broncos fly down the field. And this wasn't the first time. The same thing happened in New Orleans. A blown coverage gave up an 87-yard touchdown bomb to Rashid Shaheed right before halftime, flipping the game. This secondary has been torched all season whenever the pass rush doesn't get home. They play hard, but the lack of depth and speed on the back end keeps showing up at the worst times. That's the story of this defense. Great in the trenches, shaky everywhere else. When the front 7 dominates, they look like a playoff defense. When it doesn't, they look lost. For all the frustrations, the foundation is there. The Giants can move the ball. They can run it effectively. They have playmakers. They just can't put it all together for 4 quarters. So, are the Giants actually good? Right now, no. 2 wins in 7 games doesn't scream good, but you can't ignore how close they've been. If a few plays go differently, they could easily be sitting at 4-3 instead of 2-5. They're competitive in almost every game. The problem is consistency. Good teams close out. Games like the Broncos won, they don't self-destruct against winless teams. The Giants haven't learned how to do that yet. But what's encouraging is how different the vibe feels compared to the last few years. This doesn't feel like a broken franchise anymore. It feels like a team on the rise, one finally building an identity around young stars instead of chasing quick fixes. Jaxson Dart looks like the real deal. Cam Skattebo looks like a future cornerstone. Brian Daboll's coaching seat might still be warm, but he's finally got a roster with life. The secondary remains the glaring weakness, and fixing it through scheme, health, or personnel will determine whether this team stays competitive. Because if the back end keeps giving up big plays, no amount of rookie magic will save them. Still, there's something here. This team has fight, they have heart, and they're no longer a guaranteed win for anyone on the schedule. So are the Giants good? Not yet, but they're not bad either. They're just inconsistent. They're that dangerous young team nobody wants to play because you never know which version you're going to get. The one that beats the Eagles by 17 or the one that blows a 19-point lead to Denver. That volatility is maddening for fans, but it's also what makes this team so fascinating to watch. If they can clean up the turnovers, tighten the secondary, and learn how to finish games, this team can make noise down the stretch. Maybe not this year, but soon. The arrow is pointing up in New York. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It helps more than you think and lets me keep making deep dives like this one. And let me know in the comments, do you think the Giants have actually turned the corner, or are they still too young and inconsistent to trust? I read every single one. Because right now, this team might be 2-5, but they've got something brewing. And if Jaxson Dart and Cam Skattebo keep playing like this, the Giants might not be a punchline for much longer.